people here are fans of a band called Flyleaf? Is that so? And how many people here have been a fan for at least like 20 years? It's me and you guys. Listen, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for sticking around all this time. It's so awesome. So, how many people here have ever heard the story behind the song All Around Me? Yeah. What? 5 people? Seriously? I've told the story a million times. How many people have never heard the story behind the song All Around Me? Wow. Okay, we don't have a lot of time. How much time do we have? Do you know?
We got time. We want to hear it.
Okay, well, I'll try to be concise, which is not my strongest. So I'm not good at that. My husband was here, he'd be like, the point. I'm sorry. So I'm just on the loose right now with my words. Okay, so here we go. So the thing about it is that I don't know. The first thing I need to say is that I don't know why I made it out of this story alive. And I know people who have similar stories that did not make it out alive. And I can't tell you why life works the way it does. Why some people make it through and some people don't make it through the same way. Except to say that maybe I made it out to tell you about it. Because I learned some things in this experience that maybe you need to hear. When I was 16 years old, I had gotten kicked out of my mom's house in Texas and came to live with my grandmother in Mississippi. My mom and I fought all the time, and I was angry because when I was young, my mother taught me about God. And I believed when I was young, because my mom struggled financially, and I saw God show up when our car would break down, or we didn't have any place to go, or we didn't have any food for the month, and he would show up in these weird ways. I'm like, look. And my mom would say, see, he's gonna work it out. I was that annoying kid, but like, Mom, why are you giving away our food stamps? That's a thing back in when I was a kid. Why are you doing that? Give the food that we need to go get my, groceries or whatever. And she'd be like, shut up, God will feed us. And that was true, and I saw that happen. So then when I was 10 years old, I always thought God would take care of us. I saw it happen when I was 10 years old. My cousin, who was 3 years old, was beaten to death by his stepfather. And I remember thinking, I thought God was going to take care of us. Where was God at that time? My cousin Stacy's here. Hi, Stace. She went through these things with me. A lot of these things. I'm glad that she's here. She's been through a lot, and I'm just amazed to see her still shining in her beautiful light. Because, sometimes these things happen and it takes your light, And that's what happened to me. After this experience, I remember thinking, there can't be, how can either God doesn't care or he's not real. And I just decided I didn't want to believe in a God who lets stuff like that happen. So I just decided I didn't believe, and I became an atheist at 10 years old. And I began to hate when people would talk about God, because I thought it was wrong. Because you're telling people to sit in a broken chair. He's not going to help you. You're on your own. And if anybody tells you something was a sin, I'd go do it, because you're not going to control my life. I'm just going to go do that thing so I can be free. And the thing about it is that the more that I did those things, it's like, it wasn't that the concept of sin is really like, this is death and this is life. And so I just kept it, diving into these things, and I didn't see what killed my soul, but little by little my soul started to die. And I felt deader and deader and deader inside until I wanted my outside to match my inside. And when I was 16, I planned to take my life. And on this very day that I had this experience, had this plan, I ended up getting a big argument with my grandma, and it triggered a bunch of events that led me to having this sort of like a near-death experience, which I realize is now unique. I used to think that everybody who said they believed in God had the same experience, but it's not true. I couldn't understand why people act the way they do. Now I know they didn't all have this experience, but it was a lot like a near-death experience, because what happened was I was in front of my Creator, and it was terrifying because I did not believe in a Creator. And I knew, number one, that I was not a burden or mistake, which I felt like both. I was not an accident. Life is actually intentionally given as a gift. It didn't feel like a gift. But in that moment, standing in front of the one who created me, I knew this was a gift. And God is perfect love. And I was filled with hatred. I hated people, hated myself. And when you're full of hatred and you're standing in front of perfect love, it hurt. It's terrifying. Not because God's scary, but because your love is accusing you, right? You are so overwhelmed with the fact that you don't deserve to be standing in front of this love. And I kept waiting for that burning, and instead I felt just overwhelmed with love. And I understood a couple things. One, that God is actually an artist. And I love art. I loved it. I loved art. Any kind of music, poetry, lyrics, artwork. And I saw that the reason we create art is because He made us to do that. He made us like Him. And when I remember waking up out of that the next day, and I realized I wasn't supposed to wake up that day, and I remember looking at, why do you care about me? I wasn't supposed to wake up today. And I felt a drop of that love hit me in a way I could handle better than that first experience. It was terrifying. And it just made me overwhelmed. And I walked to school that day and I looked around at all the people I had hated the day before, and I got overwhelmed. This is your art. Each one of these people is created by you on purpose. We make art that doesn't breathe, but God makes life, birds and flowers and trees. But you are His DNA that only you have, that no one has ever had, never has had before, never will have again, is you, created so specific and unique. And that blew my mind and was so beautiful to me. And I wanted to know every person, because something about the art says something about the artist. And we have this amazing thing where we can learn in this life about that love by what we go through. It's not, when we learn about what it is to be like God, it's not like Jafar at the end of Aladdin ruling the cosmos and right? That's not what I experienced. It's this crazy thing of being right there with you and walking with you through all your pain. That suffering through something with somebody, that kind of love is why God became a human being. He wanted to live it out with you, go through everything like that, take on all of the things we carry on Himself, so we don't have to carry it alone ever. And I remember being amazed and fascinated, and I went, I know that's a weird story, but if it wasn't for it, I wouldn't be here today. And somebody, I just want to tell somebody here that needs to know, you are not a mistake. You are not a burden. You are not an accident. You are made on purpose, and you're here today on purpose hearing this. Because I shouldn't be here. But here I am telling you. And I'm thankful to be with you today. And this is our last song.